and welcome to another funky episode of Chris Sees the Internet. We're vibing right now.
Oh yeah, there's a little extra bass in our voice today.
I'm here with my co-host, the immaculate one, Mike Mackey.
Oh yeah,
immaculate.
You like that? I came up with that today.
Man, that was,
people don't even tell me to do shit.
That blew my mind right now.
I just come up with it on my own.
There you go.
Yeah,
that's my moniker now.
The immaculate.
The immaculate.
Ooh,
super,
fire, right?
Like super classy.
It's classy. And let us not forget the man who keeps the lights on. The one, the only. Producer extraordinaire, OG Hip Hop Eddie.
What up, everybody?
Is in the house.
I'm a great
it's just a real person. It's just a real sexy time, you know? It's a real sexy time. We're going into a new age of Aquarius. Trump is not with us anymore.
Yeah.
Only in spirit. He's only there in spirit.
Heavy spirit, but he's there.
Yeah, and now we have a whole new set of problems.
Yes.
You know? So nothing really got fixed. Nothing got fixed at all. What do you guys think about that those lo-fi chill beats?
Ooh.
Did you like that?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's from the Relaxed movement over on YouTube. If you go over to the Relaxed movement.
Yeah, I like that. We listen to that.
I like. Shout out to them. I just subscribed, and they got those lo-fi chill beats, as you kids would say.
Yeah, I'm completely relaxed.
Yeah, it was almost making me a little too relaxed though. So let me stop it.
Oh yeah,
I don't fart or anything.
Yeah, because I was like, "Ooh, that's a little too much." But yeah, man, we're back another week. PlatformCollection.com is where you'll find us. Go there, support the artists. What do you find there? You find music. You find a podcast, opinion, adventure, sex, romance,
wonderful colors,
Pulitzer Prize winning articles.
Yeah, yeah, political statements.
Yeah,
I mean, it really is all of that. And I know you guys think we're kidding or we're doing some kind of shtick.
No,
my friend. No. We're not doing a shtick. That is what you'll find at PlatformCollection.com. Plus us in various forms. Mike Mackey doesn't only do this show. No, that is not what he does. He does other stuff. Tell him what you do, Mike.
I host another show on Platform Collection called Mac in My Day. Every other Thursday.
Yeah.
Right, we do some sampling, we do some techniques, some beat breakdowns.
Yeah.
We take them to school.
That's right. You spank them. You spank them naughty.
In the corner and they pay attention.
Yeah.
Wow.
I like that. Yeah. I like that. And at the same time, they learn stuff.
Oh yeah, I write my name in the chalkboard. I make sure you guys call me Mr. M.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And you're giving them insight. Let me see if we can bring up some of that show here.
Yeah.
This is that show here.
Beat challenge that was last month. I'll give you a little.
This is
talking about Soundpiece Collective. How I put it together and everything, but it was pretty straightforward and pretty simple. So.
Are you drunk in this video?
No, I was 100% sober there. Unfortunately.
Artist today for the Soundpiece Collective.
Well, you should have been drunk.
Challenge was Piero Piccioni.
There you
go. Oh, look at that.
I speak Italian.
I like that.
Will find a way.
Wow, look at these transitions. Very nice.
How it sounds?
Man, that's
nice, huh? That's beautiful. Okay, well, you guys get the idea. That's just a taste. It's another show that he does.
I want to go there right now.
OG Hip Hop Eddie, how are you doing?
I'm good, man.
What's your week look like?
Work looks pretty busy. Just definitely kind of getting some tight things here with Platform Collection, and then running things, with family.
How's the family? How's the family doing?
They're good,
How many kids you got now?
5?
Two.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. That's right.
Yeah, 2 definitely verified, and just 2. I just never mind.
The immaculate one. How many kids do you have?
Double time that. I got 4.
You got 4. Okay.
Yeah.
So you're twice as much of a man.
And you got twins, right? Twins?
Twice as potent.
Okay. You have twins too.
Yeah, I have twins.
Yes.
Okay.
Good.
So is that a now is having a twin mean that you're more like potent or something's broken. You know what I mean? Like, because it could be freaky as well, right? Like, it could be like, I made twins. I made two of the same.
Yeah,
That could be weird,
they're
right?
fraternal, so thankfully they're not the mutated identical ones.
Oh, good.
Yeah, so just concentrate.
I got a few of those in my family, and boy, man, we always got to throw rocks at them and stuff, to get them away from the food.
Oh yeah,
yeah. We'll get canceled
They
for that
trick you,
probably.
man. They
We take
trick
that back, by the way.
Yeah.
I like twins.
oh yeah.
Eddie's actually a twin.
Yes.
That's why we're making the joke, and it's it's not a real thing. Eddie's
yeah.
a twin, so
It's that twin energy.
don't cancel us.
Oh, twinish.
Yeah.
Twinish going on.
Twinning.
We're going to have a guest, too.
We're gonna have a guest later today.
Yeah.
Fernando Garcia.
Does he have a twin?
He
might.
He does not.
He doesn't?
Not.
Okay.
No.
but I think he knows somebody that is twin, probably.
Yeah, I'm sure he knows a lot of twins.
Yeah.
I partied with him in college.
We did a lot of partying in college.
Eddie's running for Congress, so,
Yeah, so 53rd
we partied.
district.
Yeah.
Respectfully though.
Respectfully.
Yeah. Apple pie.
Yes.
Very wholesome.
Yes. So, yeah, we're back, man. Mike, I wanted to get into this with you a little bit. I was wondering as I was setting up and I was watching you there. You're always so bright-eyed when you come into the studio and happy to do the job. What has been your experience so far in the podcast world? I mean, this is brand new for you still.
Yeah, it's amazing.
You're not even a year in yet.
Yeah.
As a host.
Was
it everything you thought it was going to be?
Yeah, I love coming to work. My coworkers are absolutely amazing, and it's like not everybody gets to enjoy what they do, and I'm fortunate to be in that position where I get to have great coworkers. You guys are friends too. Great friends, but we also work together really well, and it's a cohesive little.
Well, I think you got to let us speak for ourselves.
Yeah.
I don't know if friends is that's a lot, but yeah, okay. So do you feel like you've settled into it? Do you feel like, okay, I got this down? Or are you still like, oh, are you like when you're on the show, are you in your head a lot?
Oh no,
you're good now. You can.
yeah.
You're just kicking it with your friends.
Yeah, definitely. I'm very relaxed. I actually like the format. It's a lot less stressful, in my opinion, than maybe being on and having some kind of try to put some performance together or something like that. Because you get to be yourself. And
you mean being in the studio?
Oh, just as like a performer.
Oh, I got you. I got you.
Put something together.
Yeah. Because this is the first time you're technically entertaining as yourself, right?
Yeah, I would say so.
Right. Because it's a weird thing. That's not something that people get to do.
Yeah.
Very often.
Yeah.
Right?
I have more so experience trying to attain a different kind of character, play a character.
Right.
Put on a performance. So
yeah, that I think most people have tasted in some fashion throughout their life. Whereas like this, being a host, having conversation, creating conversation that you hope people find stimulating or entertaining or funny or goofy or whatever.
Yeah.
As long as they're paying attention to it, it's a whole different art form. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I would agree. Just I love the cohesive, the unit that we've created, and we have really, really
good. Yeah. Talk more about me. Say more nice things.
You're like,
about
the hardest working man out here in San Diego.
Good.
Right
I like
now.
that.
I mean,
I like that. That makes me feel good inside.
Definitely an inspiration to us all, and wonderful mentor. Friend,
I like that.
and friend.
I like that. Yes.
I'll go out on a limb and say that.
Give me more.
Do you think he likes me?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Everybody
Little
loves
bit?
you, OG hip hop Eddie. You're the.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't speak for me.
What?
I wouldn't. But yeah, I think most people like you, Eddie. Till they get to know you.
I got letters that people write, so I'll share them one day.
Restraining orders.
I'll share them one day.
Right. So we are. What is this? 2 weeks past the election now.
Yeah, I think so.
Yes.
3 weeks. Maybe.
Trump has still not given up the fight.
Yeah.
I mean, we didn't think he was going to, right?
Right.
No. Do you care anymore? I don't care anymore.
Yeah, I've been so kind of apathetic to the whole thing. It's
Yeah.
I mean, he's got 8 days, and the suspense is, I guess it's getting suspenseful. But I mean, in 8 days.
I mean, to who though?
It's really, it's not. It's kind of like one of those.
There's only one side of the country is like, we still think something might happen.
Yeah.
And the other side of the country is sane.
Yeah, and yeah, it's looking like a pipe dream. It's getting more and more, like to be less kind of confident, riled up about it.
Yeah, they're out there.
I'm hearing rumblings about
protesting, right?
2024. I'm hearing that's the
next thing.
That's the next step. Yeah.
I believe that. I think if he can stay out of jail, I think that's something that people aren't factoring in. Yeah, over the weekend we had. I was no bullshit. I was very impressed by the crowd. I was like, wow, that's a big fucking crowd. Mm-hmm. And by the way, Eddie and I were talking about this yesterday. Do you remember prior to this almost kind of makes me think now, like, I bet you he did have some big crowds out there during his time as president, and the media really was fucking him on that. Because now they'll just show it all because it doesn't even matter anymore. Mm-hmm. Now it's almost like, oh, look at all these people, like, oh, like, like they lost and they're mad. Yeah. Like it's fucked how the media is playing both sides, because these people
they're definitely gloating a little.
Right. This is not. I don't think that these people are my enemy at all. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, I get that their perspective is going to be different no matter what. Even if they just live in different parts of the world, your perspective is going to be different on life, things that are probably going to be more important to you. What if you have, like, I asked Eddie this the other day, what if you have no brown faces around you at all, ever, and you never have? How can we blame your misunderstanding of, like, brown and black faces? Yeah. Right? It's not, I hear how things should be, but that's simply just not how things are, right? It seems like it seems like that's little kid logic. Yeah. For us to look at the other side like that. Like we're going to slap your hand cuz, you don't understand us. Well, we don't understand them. Mm-hmm. I don't understand what the Midwest goes through. I don't get that. Dude, imagine, like, we're in Cali, right? Imagine living in a place where hurricanes just roll through all year. Like,
it's hot.
It's hot. And like, the industries out there are pretty much one thing. It's like agriculture or food, like
the Rust Belt.
Right. There's no, like, there's not a lot of choices.
Yeah. That's crazy. Oh,
I've heard that's why a lot of people turn to drugs in those particular areas.
And I want to be
nothing to do.
But here's the thing, though, right? I think that it's fair to say that as people who live on the West Coast, we are almost describing it as it's like a bad thing.
Yeah.
And I think that it exemplifies our misunderstanding, right? Because that's why we don't understand each other, because we attach this romanticized emotion to facts. The facts are we don't understand them. They don't understand us. And that is the way it probably is naturally going to be when you live in different climates. You have different needs.
Regions and
right.
Stuff, yeah.
So the idea of, like, oh, we're all just going to get along and everything's going to be hunky-dory.
Yeah.
Dude, I don't know if it is the search for that is honorable, right? Yeah. I believe that. And I think everybody kind of on both sides kind of believe, hey, if you can find ultimate level of peace somehow, that's where you should end up. You shouldn't end up with your knee on somebody's neck.
Yeah,
right.
It doesn't. You don't have to resort to oppression.
You shouldn't have to do that.
Violence.
I think we're at least that far as Americans, right? But there is the minority of America that has extreme thoughts, right? And they speak the loudest, and they funnel the most shit into the media, and the media loves that. It's the best things, right? Like, having normal dialogues between sides. And this is where I think, by the way, especially with this new generation, I think the media is wrong on this. It's not like wrong morally. It's just a wrong marketing move. They think their audience is dumb.
Yeah.
And they're not giving them credit. And one of the things I've definitely learned over the last few years with marketing is your audience is not fucking dumb at all. Right?
Yeah.
And it is okay to put very complex things out there because some people enjoy that shit.
Mm-hmm.
So it is okay to have like a real dialogue on like how people like this, what we're saying right here, right? We're checking ourselves.
Yeah.
Hey, you know what? We probably have an arrogant West Coast attitude when it comes because we're like, oh, it's hot over there and they got to get up and milk cows. And they might be like, yo, this is fucking dope. You guys are stupid. You guys have smog and you have to go to fucking work. And you guys want to put on suits and like
6% sales tax.
yeah, exactly. And I think if we can just, if we know that that's true and we know that like people really do think that way, why is the media treat us like we need everything in like cartoon form?
Yeah.
Right? Like we need it like really dumb baby shit.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't encourage critical thinking.
I agree.
Right?
I agree. Yeah, I think the media has gotten become such a big conglomerate that they refuse to they've become too corporatized, in my opinion, where they kind of just see the checks and balances and they don't really look at the fundamental discourse in America or, what could help further, help relations and things like that. Because, I think they've definitely adopted, it seems like they're playing catch up, in my opinion, with the internet.
Yeah.
It seems like, remember when the internet really was starting to become, the monster that it is, like clickbait was a thing, right? And sensationalized headlines, 24-hour news cycle, it really transferred to online. More people were getting their news online than on cable news, conventional media outlets. So now they have to resort to these tactics where it's, these sensationalized headlines and, drama-driven content that really tries to provoke the audience. And like you said, I agree with you. With the newer generation, I think they're just not. It's not a good marketing move because they're insulting their intelligence. Most people know that.
Yeah, they're super turned off. Like I feel like regular media.
Yeah,
and I'm talking just like CNN, NBC, ABC, Fox. I think to the newer generation that seems like very out of
date.
Yeah, it's out of style. Like
anymore.
Yeah, like if you're watching it, you're being kind of silly. Like because it's obviously not real, right? Like to them, it's so obvious. Like so why would we? And it doesn't seem like that media is staying in front of it. Obviously, even Trump supporters are getting the majority of their media from these independent outlets, right? And it's crazy that the left tries to pretend like that we don't do the same. Yeah, like the left definitely does the same. And I say we because I definitely lean more left on some things, but I am definitely I feel I'm an independent. I believe in that. I believe in it, but I do lean more left. And in this argument that seems to be happening right now across the country, I seem to lean more towards the people on the left side as far as how to move forward. Yeah, right. Because I feel like Trump's side, I don't know if we're included in their move forward, right? That's what it feels like. It doesn't feel like we're included in that. Yeah. So that's scary. And I feel like there must be people who vote for Trump, who support Trump, who, if we said that to them, they would logically be able to process that and go, oh, okay, that makes sense. Yeah. Oh, yeah, I could see why that you wouldn't want that to happen. And I don't know why we're not. And it seems like that's such a simple conversation to have. Yeah. But the media does everything they can to stop that from happening. Dude, there is no fucking mistake why Joe Rogan is the number one talk show in the world. He's the number one media outlet in the world. There's a reason for that. Because people think that he's not bullshitting them. Yeah. And that's it.
I would be interested though if he's compromised. Like
he has been compromised.
He's
like Eddie Bravo. Eddie Bravo thinks he has been, right? I
mean, he can't confirm nor deny, but I mean, you would think that because he has such a platform that a lot of people do look for. I mean, he's also running the risk of having a fan who does something extreme. right? And they do it based on his views,
Right.
And then he's going to be culpable.
Like he can influence people.
He could influence somebody, right? So I wonder if they kind of are riding the line so that he doesn't, go the Alex Jones route and, it starts to become, I wouldn't say a caricature of what they're trying to do, but I mean, he seems authentic.
This is the only times I've ever found myself like not agreeing with Rogan is because I genuinely agree with him on a lot of things. I have seen him. And I think that this is unavoidable in a lot of ways. He'll comment on some sort of minority issue, right? Mm-hmm. And it always feels. I remember that Callen felt like this as well. His friend
Brian Callen.
Yeah, Brian Callen felt like this as well when he would talk about these things. Like they were too far removed, man. Mm-hmm. They can't. There's no way they understand how it is to be on the streets now.
Yeah.
Because they were there at one time, a long time ago.
Yeah, especially these comedians.
Right.
I mean, they really know the hard times.
Yeah, and Rogan is $100 million man.
Yeah.
Dude, he doesn't remember that anymore. You know what I mean? It's clear. I'm sure he has some really cool memories that maybe even make him cry. And he's like, well, I'm emotional. But you don't know what, like, we're going through.
Yeah.
You can't. How can you? Right. And I don't expect you to.
Yeah.
But when he talks as if he does, that's when I always lose base with him. Yeah. And I think the part of the left that criticizes him kind of that's kind of what they're talking about a lot of times. And he seems to interpret it as that they think he's too far right. Mm-hmm. The stuff that he is doing that people would say that he's right on, I agree with all those things. Yeah. I think he's right on a lot of the stuff. You know what I mean?
I think it's funny too, because like I just don't. They always try to use that as some kind of derogatory, term. And I mean, if he was really a conservative, I mean, he would be preaching about states' rights, and,
right, which he is not.
Ending the Fed, and there's really a lot of he'd be pro-life, and and there would be a lot of you would be able to tell, and I mean, people, especially if they're just diehard conservatives, sure they have their own ideology and stuff, and it's healthy that there's that discourse, and that's kind of tying back with the media. It seems like they're kind of culpable for a lot of the, the strife that's kind of plaguing, the country right now. And unfortunately, they know that we're just susceptible to just, influence via our phones, via the media. I mean, we just are just being controlled, and not to sound so cliche, but it's definitely a real thing where, you could see, just think about like 2 weeks ago, they were LARPing Civil War, and
yeah, well, it seems like that is
people
gearing
start
up.
Going to work. And,
that's gearing up again, though. I've noticed this weekend, it seems like they were definitely ramping that talk up again. Like now, because here's
skirmishes still, right?
Okay, so let me ask you this. I asked Eddie this. Yeah. Let me pose this question to you. If okay, so say Trump finally concedes, or say he never concedes, right? But obviously he has to leave the White House. There's no major skirmish or anything.
Yeah.
And he literally tweets to his followers, "Let's start our own government. I'll be your president.
Yeah.
We can start funding this immediately." Right? And they're like, we basically will just make a copy of the Constitution, and it's just our Constitution with our president, and you can be part of it if you want it. What exactly do you think our government would do about it? After seeing those crowds you saw over the weekend, I mean, we're talking millions of people around the world were supporting that, right? And now we know the actual numbers. Sure, he lost, but there was a lot of numbers. A lot of people voted for this motherfucker. So if they just said, "That's it, we're not playing with you guys anymore.
Yeah,
we're just going to do our own shit, and the cops in our place will be funded a different way. We're still going to pay taxes. We're still going to keep up. Don't worry about how we're going to keep our shit up. Keep your shit up. Like, don't worry about it. What would we do? Actually in action? Because are we going to? Do you think Biden would bomb like a million Americans? Like,
No, it'd be an act of war.
right. How do we stop? Like, we're going to arrest them all? No.
Yeah, they couldn't do that either.
And I
maybe
think
sanctions and embargoes. They might be able to say, hey, we're not going.
Yeah, we can starve you out.
We're not going to do trade.
Right. But what's
energy.
stopping? I already thought about that. So what's stopping Russia from coming in and going, "Hey, Trump, America, we'll back you. You don't have to be communist. You don't have to it's going to be the same thing. You just run your country. But if we go to war, you get our back.
Yeah.
And if you go to war, now we get your back." And so now it's half the country, right? Which will at that point be out on its knees already, because economically, the change that would
the separation would ruin both
the coast
economies.
would tumble when it comes to food and all that kind of stuff, right?
100%. All the farmland.
And like I was telling Eddie, what are we gonna keep from them, dude?
But that's what I'm saying. That's
movies.
Hypothetically, that's if it's interregionally. Right? We could do something along the lines of like Monrovia in West Africa. That was modeled after James Monroe, the president, and so over there they have the same rights as Americans. It's almost like an offshoot of America. And, that's one of the things great and thankfully about our Constitution is that we're a democratic republic.
Yeah.
So they couldn't do anything in retribution if we decided to secede. And,
in theory, they couldn't do it.
In theory, they couldn't really do or I mean, just by the treaties and stuff that we've already established, we wouldn't be able to do anything. Now, now, like if you're talking like land ownership and all that stuff,
right?
That's a different thing if they do it regionally. But
But the other thing though,
they could
would
move
be
somewhere where there's no territory, where they have the right to establish a new country and
I think
be under the same kind of laws as America.
I don't think they would move though.
Yeah, I mean, that's unrealistic.
Obviously. Like Texas is like Texas. It will probably be like we're definitely keeping Texas.
Yeah,
like Texas is going to be ours. Mm-hmm. We'll sign the Trump Accords. Mm-hmm. Get with Trump.
Yeah.
How do you what again? Like I don't know what we could do.
I mean, essentially, I think they would have the land leases, right, back from the Texas and Mexico, right?
Yeah.
Mexico War.
And they'll say that we own them.
Right.
You have to go.
You have, because they own it. I mean, that's essentially why Mexico could, essentially, which I'm kind of interested why there's not more, people bringing cases that are things like that, like the Louisiana Purchase. Or even other
like things. Who really owns the land?
Yeah, because you essentially can't.
Because I don't think the U.S. is ever going to play that game, and that's what I'm saying. Like, I think it would very quickly move to some sort of skirmish.
Yeah. Because
say they come in and they say, okay, well, here's our new laws, and in all these states, like whatever, like no abortion.
Yeah.
That there's one right there, right? No abortion. Yeah. Any of the Trump states, no abortion, and where they had like the right to choose before,
right?
Yeah,
and people were very normal, and then some people put up just a little bit of a fight. Mm-hmm. Then our side would have to go. Do we have to defend those people? Right? Like they're technically because they could be like, hey, we got stuck on this side. Mm-hmm. We're really on your side.
But then they would be like people that would just immigrate back to America.
No, but I'm saying if they couldn't, you know what I mean? Like, you say like whatever the situation is, or they weren't.
Yeah.
They're like, we don't want to leave. They don't want to leave. You know what I mean? People aren't going to want to leave, especially those first. Say that kind of thing goes into motion. The first few months of this will be so chaotic.
Yeah.
Right. That. We would have to avoid physical confrontation in order for this to not just quickly dwindle into civil war.
Yeah, it couldn't devolve into a physical conflict.
Yeah, and those are all things, by the way.
Too many people losing.
Those are all things that exist without Trump having to stay in the presidency.
Yeah,
that's what people are afraid of, right?
Trump really wouldn't have to have his finger in that at all. I mean,
yeah.
I mean, I know there's been talks of like Oregon, right, becoming a sovereign state, and the Pacific Northwest as a sovereign state. So, there's definitely legal options. If people wanted to go that route, so they, in theory, they could essentially do it. I mean, if they have the votes, and they.
How long do you think that stuff? Say they went and they voted and they lost or whatever it was.
I mean, look at
to
Brexit.
turn over. Like, does it happen immediately? You know how?
Oh,
like
I
this,
mean, look
like
at Brexit. Like with Brexit, how long ago did they vote on it originally? Right, and they had to. They tossed out that vote, and they wanted. They tried as many tactics as they could to stay within the EU, right? And they still were able to finally get it done. So I mean, it would take years of legal,
that's what. Yeah, like that's.
And the real question is, would the people be able to withstand the legal process? Because people want answers. They don't have the patience to wait 10 years for a verdict on whether or not they can be sovereign citizens in their own, and
Yeah, I mean that's just
something?
like some crazy, like I mean I don't even know.
Mm-hmm.
We're on some robot controlling stuff, bro. Like it's just it is out of control.
Robots might be our saviors, that's what unites us.
Mm-hmm.
People become circuitists. What would you say? I'm a technoist. Just hate robots.
Nah, man.
Just circuit lover.
Are you? What is where are they going? Where are they going? Right there, man. The one.
What, robots?
No. The thing.
The space station. International Space Station.
I wouldn't almost.
No, that's where they're going. They're going to the.
Yeah, it's going to be completely autonomized, right? Oh, how smart! That's pretty ingenious, if you ask me. So it's going to be completely autonomous.
I don't know.
I mean, eventually.
I haven't been following it.
That's what they're working towards.
Oh,
because why would you want humans up there when you can just have robots doing all the maintenance and?
Well, I think the big thing is to have robots or some sort of like autonomous thing is because humans can't survive the length of space travel, right?
Yeah, well, to the space station they can, but like other destinations now they can, especially if they have a.
How long is it going to take for them to get there?
To the space station?
Yes,
I think they'll be there relatively quick. It's just orbiting. Mm-hmm. It's orbiting us, I think.
17 hours, I think that's what it takes.
Yeah, that's not nothing.
It's not that bad. Because you have to go around the Earth and come back around.
That is some crazy, like, I mean, I don't know. I mean,
yeah.
My stomach kind of feels kind of funny,
Hey, we're joined by an actual astronaut.
Oh, yes.
Fernando Garcia. If you could tell he's actually on that ship right now. This is what he looks like inside. What's
up, fellas?
He's refused to wear a helmet again.
Yes.
It's pressurized.
What's up, Fernando?
Chilling, man. What are you guys up to?
We're just hanging out on
Chris
the show.
Internet, man.
Chris sees the internet. World famous Pulitzer.
I'm trying to get this camera
prize
thing
winning
right.
thing.
Yeah, prize winning.
I would go a little bit more right there. That looks good.
Okay.
That looks pretty good.
I feel like it's too bright up in here, though.
Yeah, it's a little bright.
I mean, we even have the Palme d'Or award. I mean, it's
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of plaques here that I'm not sure. I mean,
yeah, we were just watching this the launch today.
The hell are you guys watching it?
We're watching on the internet.
Oh, is the launch?
Yeah.
That's pretty amazing.
I mean, we're not there.
Yeah, we have like a direct.
We had tickets, we just didn't go.
Oh yeah. I mean, we do have a direct.
COVID, they're not letting press passes are limited right now.
Right.
Did you want to do the? Chris, did you want to do the direct line to them?
My bad.
I mean, did you want to call them directly?
Do we want to call the astronauts?
Yes. I mean,
no. Why bother them?
Oh, okay.
My bad. I thought they were going to be on the podcast too.
No. I mean, we keep it real on here. They weren't feeling the fact that we smoked some marijuana. So I don't blame them. I don't blame them. I'm not. I couldn't be an astronaut.
Yeah, they're in a different high level.
Yeah, you shouldn't be high, sir. Or maybe you should. Who knows? That might be cool. But yeah, man, how's your week been going? Trump is last time we talked to you, Trump was still our president. He's technically still our president now, but not really. What do you see?
Well, he's he's technically still the president until January 20th, I believe, and And then I think 12 o'clock on January 20th is when it ends. But he's really not acting like a president, and he never really did. But at least he was out there talking. I kind of miss his crazy
gibberish
speeches sometimes.
Right.
Yeah, his gibberish. Like I miss laughing at some of it sometimes.
We are already having separation anxiety, I feel.
Exactly. Like, who am I going to make fun of now?
Yeah.
This is a interesting time, and nobody. He doesn't do things the way that most normal people do. So it's interesting, and even his staff is acting crazy,
Yeah.
which obviously that's kind of how you get on his team. And so.
Yeah, he did some firings, I heard. Who did he do? A bunch of people in the FBI, CIA type stuff. He let like a bunch of people go. Mm-hmm. That's weird.
Yeah, well,
do they lose their pension, man?
No, they just get fired. But what sucks is that you got guys like Pompeo, you got guys like Navarro, you got guys like Rudy Giuliani here. These are all educated guys. For the most part, up until they joined the Trump team, pretty well respected.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Yeah. He would. Dude, remember Rudy was the 9/11 guy, dude.
I know.
The hero.
He's famous for taking down the mob, especially in New York. Yeah. He single-handedly did it as a prosecutor, and I mean, it's heralded as one of the biggest legal.
I mean, he could also just be too old, though. Let's just be honest.
You know what? I'm noticing that with a lot of these guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. Once you hit 70.
70.
I mean, we need to start having that conversation, though, right? In the new America,
I agree.
It seems like it would make a lot of sense for us to start talking.
At least 50?
Yeah,
like Trudeau, right? He's in his 40s. I think Macron, he's a young guy too.
Yeah, I say 65 is the cutoff. I'd be willing to do that.
Yeah.
There's some sharp 65-year-olds. I mean, the reality is there's sharp 75-year-olds or sharp 90-year-olds, but that's not the point. The point is, if you're going to be making decisions about things that are going to affect our foreseeable future, you should at least have some stake in that. Yeah. I think,
Yeah, I mean, we have an age requirement for for Congress and president. You have to be so old. Why not do the opposite? Maybe you're too old.
Yeah, I agree.
So, that's something we should probably look at.
I mean, that's part of the. I mean, that those are the kind of things, dude. Honestly, that I feel like get people so upset at politics, in that it seems so obvious that the fact that we're still having conversations about those kind of things means that the fix is in. It means that obviously the four of us, I'm not saying we're not the smartest people in the world, but I'm just also saying that, there's room for growth in the room, right? At least on our side, not speaking for you, Fernando, but the fact that we could look at it and go, oh, that doesn't make any sense. It's hard for us to believe that there's people in positions of power and people that we vote for and people that, we pay that don't seem to be able to understand like these very simple things. Like what do you, I mean, what is the point of keeping it going this old way?
Yeah. Well, I mean, this is the first time we've had somebody run this old, be president this old.
Yep.
So, now it is going to spark these conversations, and, we see it in our parents, where they start getting a little older. They start, acting a certain. It's like we become the parents sometimes to our own parents, right? So, and they're at that age, so I'm probably sure their kids are kind of shaking their head, like, "Come on, Dad."
Yeah, yeah.
They got to.
Except that they get to like launch missiles, also.
Right? Exactly. Like, come on. But we'll figure. Hopefully, we'll figure that out. And I think there's going to be a new crop of younger people coming on board.
Yeah.
Some new ideas. The reality is the baby boomer generation, they're a lot of the votes. They make a lot of decisions. As they kind of pass on, it's going to be on us to say, hey, how do we want this country to move forward? And I think it's going to be different. 20 years from now. It's going to be a while. It's not overnight, but it will be,
Yeah.
15, 20 years from now, people are going to be thinking differently.
As a independent, as somebody who's seeking office, is it, when you look at someone like Biden or this Biden group that's coming in, what about them do you not like? What about it do you go like that this is something we should probably keep an eye on because it's not going to be all good?
Yeah, well, they're part of the establishment. What that really means is when I say that is they're bought out by a lot of the corporations.
Right.
So they're beholden to a lot of these corporations, particularly the banks on the Democratic side. Also a lot of pharmaceutical companies. So, they talk a big game, but they're kind of restricted in doing certain things. So I'll give you an example. Like when it comes to climate change, right?
Yeah.
And the Democrats do talk a lot about in these things, but you have to understand that their biggest contributors are like Wells Fargo, Bank of America, Chase, Goldman Sachs.
Right.
And what happened is these are the companies that finance the oil companies. So they finance Chevron. They finance BP. They finance all these oil and gas companies who then support the Republican Party. So they all kind of need each other. We can't necessarily go 100% green because these banks cannot lose the infrastructure money that they've invested in these companies. So they're playing both sides, and and that's a lot of things that people don't really realize. And even on the pharmaceutical side, there's a lot of pharmaceutical companies and insurance companies that support the Democratic Party. So for us to get real Medicare for all, is going to be a challenge. And, a lot of these, a lot of our health problems that we have to do with our food, not just access to healthcare. I mean, that's part of it, but nobody really talks about the chemicals in our food, which all these chemical companies do. Support both sides, and
I mean, so America's food is a lie, right?
Right. Half
for
of
the
it's
most part,
food.
Right.
If it's in a back package or a box, it's barely food.
Yeah. Yeah.
And,
don't you?
But that's what I'm saying, Fernando. You don't. Well, I mean, when you say stuff like that, I mean, you're so on point with it. But doesn't that also scare you in the idea, man, are we even close to having that conversation in America? It seems like we're still arguing literally about the color of each other.
Right.
How are we going to have this very complex question about hey, guess what? All the stuff we're eating right now, we should probably stop doing that. It doesn't seem like we're going to get together enough to be able to have that conversation.
Yeah. Well, I think that, like I said, I think the baby boomer generation, I mean, I hate to say that because that's, our parents' generation, but once, our generation has the opportunity to the internet and to Google and to research and to look at things differently. And they are looking at what we're eating. We are looking at, the chemicals that go into our bodies, and we are open to that conversation. And so I think it will change.
What is a turnaround time on that, man? Something like that.
I don't think it's worth asking.
Right. Well, honestly, I mean, it's probably 15, 20 years. I mean, you're talking about the average baby boomer right now is probably 70. So, the average life expectancy is probably closer to 85, 86. But, and so, probably 15, 20 years will be that change. And hopefully we come to our senses in a few things, but we'll see. We just need more people out there talking about it and getting people to go, oh yeah, I never thought about that. I never realized that.
Yeah, I mean, look at the vegan movement. And,
look at the vegan. I mean, how many people from our generation are vegan as opposed to our parents' generation?
Yeah, right. What? Oh yeah, go ahead.
Oh no, and I was going to say my parents don't understand there's certain foods that a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Is probably not the best to eat because the bread we have, the bread they make now is a lot different from the bread they made growing up.
Right.
The preservatives that come in our food are a lot different than the foods that they ate.
Right.
And they weren't surrounded necessarily by fast food. And,
But then, do you think that that's probably not a conversation we even need to have then, right? Like, because how do you change the baby boomers at this point, right? Like this generation that is obsessed with Facebook now, right? Like, so they're already getting their minds like it's too much. Dude, I've seen, my mom and her friends deal with like Facebook. It's too much, man. It's too much for them, right? Because they're not exactly sure why there would be lies, and rightfully so, right? Rightfully so. They're Americans. They're like, why would there be lies on anywhere?
Awesome, yeah.
And what's funny is they like, for us, we can kind of see things and know right off the bat like it's fake. Yeah. Like if we get an email saying that there's a Nigerian prince that wants to give us $1 million, we just got to send him $10,000. We already know it's a lie. They're like still kind of like, oh damn, maybe that's real. Yeah, and if it isn't, and if it is, what will people say if I don't? Right. Yeah. So we see things, real. We can see it real quick. They're still having that problem.
And I'm wondering. That's what I'm saying. I'm wondering, is that even a battle worth fighting? You know what I mean? Like, what again? How are you going to?
You're probably not really going to change a lot of them, but
right.
As more and more people from our generation and younger start to vote, it's about getting them to, realize, hey, look, these are the real issues that we need to start talking about. And I always bring up certain things like hemp. Nobody really talks about hemp. We need to start talking about, renewables and owning our own energy source, and how these are not conservative or liberal ideas. These are not Democrat or Republican ideas. These are just good for us as people.
Yeah.
And,
practical
and
ideas.
I think practical ideas. Unfortunately we do. There is a certain amount of people here that look at things as blue and red, and not what makes sense.
Oh man! Well,
that's
dude,
like a gang, man.
Dude, I credit you as the person who made me not doubt politics as much as I once did. Right? Like I was telling Eddie this the other day, like, because until I started to help you with your campaign, I was pretty much on. It really doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't matter. It's the system is so complex that breaking the whole thing down will never happen. But the way you kind of put it to me was more like, it's more about like just demolishing like a brick today.
Right.
Like just let's crush this brick from the wall, and it will add up. It has added up, right? Even like what we're seeing with the Trump movement is that side chipping away at a system that they didn't like, and it did produce things like Trump. And there are ways to move culture and move understanding.
Yeah. But look at like the Tea Party. You know? I mean, that's essentially what kind of
what happened to the Tea Party? Are they still around?
The Trump base kind of evolved from the Tea Party's ideology.
Oh, that's who Trump is. That's the Trump Party. Gotcha.
Pretty much.
That was a grassroots or movement.
That's crazy, right?
I was going to say, I was going to touch on something you were talking about earlier about the banks and Democrats being beholden to the banks. It's very interesting that not 20 years ago we had a huge movement with Occupy Wall Street, where we were anti-corporation, financial institutions' influences on political institutions. And so now it's almost like it's become we've gone 180.
Like they're doing it again.
Now we welcome, Chase Bank sponsoring the Democratic Party.
Right.
Being
it's for profit, man.
Well, I mean, it isn't like that problem went away, right? It's simply the fire, different. Like what we're watching right now, like these protests, like that it was almost like that light was brighter. We were all focused on like, hey, the bank, and dude, if it was right, like a tactical move, like say like on some larger level, Trump was just a tactical move for the system. We needed to shake some certain things up. We needed to cause some giant change because we did leap forward in a lot of huge change because Trump existed, right? Like some of these conversations got way louder than they have ever have, but also a lot of things went back to like coating the pockets of people that have always had the money. Like, you know what I mean? Trump, it's not like Trump was making people poor.
Yeah.
There was people that were getting rich while Trump was in office. And it's crazy that we still, as Americans, fall for that idea that one of the sides is better. You know what I mean? When they're literally doing the same thing, and neither one of them really want to like help us.
Right.
Like that's not the point to like fix it all. Like the everlasting fix, right? Like that thing that like you're constantly working on is a better play for them, even business wise. Let's just have a constantly leaking roof, and it's something that we can always fund, right? We can. There's always things to. Like we need more. We need to fix more. I mean, dude. I mean, we're going crazy on this thing, but it's because I know that you, as an independent thinker, you became an independent and decided to run as an independent because most of this stuff is what you saw, right? Like you saw these things that were very obvious.
Right.
And it started with the question on why is nobody really addressing these things, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah. You know, I started to realize that when you pick a side, it's kind of like picking a sports team, right? So if you're a Raider fan, and and all of a sudden, if the Raiders do something wrong, like the Raiders hold or they do something, like you start defending what your players are doing. You start saying, no, he wasn't holding.
Right.
If you're not cheating, you're not trying. And then when the other team does something, you over exaggerate it. So you start to it starts to be this tribal kind of team, and you don't look at things clear. And when you're able to say, you know what, I don't want to be on either team, and I want to just see the game the way it is, you start to see things clear, and that's what I noticed. You know, and the one thing this thing that taught me a lot. And with guys like you're familiar with Roger Stone, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So Roger Stone.
Such a weird existence.
Yeah. So Roger Stone is very much a fan of what Nixon did.
Right.
And so and the thing
he was Nixon's lawyer, right?
Wasn't
he his counsel? Maybe an advisor.
I want to say he worked on his campaign.
Okay. Yeah, that's it.
But because he was younger back he was younger. Back then, and but what he noticed is, and what there's no bones about what he's trying to do is he wants to create an us versus them versus in a campaign, meaning that in order to win, you have to divide the country. He believes that, you got to create an us versus them. That's what Nixon did, and that's why Nixon won. And then once you win, you really hone in on that. And they see that to the keys to victory. Now, the problem is that yes, you can. It's short term, you'll win, but who loses is the American people, because as we become divided, especially from a democracy standpoint, and when you have countries like China and Russia who obviously cannot compete with us in terms of military wise, like they can never just go heads up military wise, but what they can do, which is very cheap, is to utilize our social media, make us more divided so that we fight from within.
Right.
And that's why when you have things like COVID, for example, where, okay, we got to create you should wear a mask, you shouldn't wear a mask type of divide, well, then you're actually literally able to kill off Americans by creating a divide of something so simple as wearing a mask when you walk into a building. Like if Trump would have just said, yeah, you know what, we need to unite under this, let's just wear a mask, let's wash our hands, let's be more safer, he literally could have probably saved, I don't know, let's just say 100,000, 50,000 lives, right?
Yeah.
Which I mean, how much China and Russia would have had to have spent in a war to kill 50,000 U.S. troops, right?
Wow.
But by creating this divide, they basically kill. I'm just using 50,000 as an example.
Yeah.
they helped kill 50,000 Americans just by putting Facebook posts that says, wearing a mask is a lie.
Wow.
And that's what we got to be. That's what we got to
Wow.
be careful in the beginning, because that's what they're going to start doing now. They're just going to start dividing us further, and they're going to fund it that way, because we'll just kill ourselves. Imagine if we start taking arms against each other and we start not believing in our election system, then guess what? We're not going to, our economy's not going to work. They're going to start taking over. It's going to be a slow, picking at us. And all of a sudden, 20, 30 years from now, they're going to be the top dog. And it's all going to be because we decided to fight within. And China and Russia see that. And China looks at things 50, 100 years down the road. They're not looking at us,
Right.
the next 4 years. So, if I was another country looking to defeat the United States, I would do exactly what they're doing. Divide us. It's cheap. They spend, a couple $1 million buying advertising through social media, and that's it. So, smart on their part, bad on us for falling for it. So,
I think that it's weird that
That's why they're buying all that land in all these countries, man.
yeah, we were watching a thing about how the 1% is escaping. Like they're escaping the U.S. and they're buying all this land in other places. But
they're doing
wait,
the same
but
thing here, though.
I want to address what he was saying.
Mhm.
Do you think? Because like Eddie and I were talking about this yesterday, that Trump. It's weird to me. Like I felt like, wouldn't it have been? Couldn't Trump probably could have argued himself into a presidency forever type situation if he had gotten into office, right? Like just this, everything happened the same way. But as soon as he got into office, he goes, "Look, guys, I had to do certain things to get elected, but really what I'm going to do is be the president for everybody and show you guys why we all should be concerned with certain things." Because some of the stuff that he tells his base, that isn't like racially charged, right? That has more to do with like business overseas and different types of things. He's not wrong, right? Like some of these things would be great for the country. But to me, when I go like the fix is in, is that again, here we are, four of us going like, hey, you know what would have made the perfect president is a Trump that just played both sides, that liked both sides, that, you know what I mean? Like, but he didn't do that.
Arguably,
and it seems like he was almost set up for that.
Arguably, we could say he might have attempted to, but he definitely had the media counter, showing everything that he was doing, if any progress, especially a lot of the trade deals that he renegotiated, even some of the relations they made with North Korea. Some of those things should have been commended. I heard they did this. He also facilitated the first, or they allowed Israel now into the Arab Emirates, I think, or something. They're on the, they come to the table. So I mean, a lot of those things can be, attributed to Trump's international, but you wouldn't get any of that kind of acclaim, especially from the media.
Oh, but Fernando, where we were going with was, are there some certain things about this Biden group that we should you said he's going to go back to like the kind of the status quo, right? Which is more like Obama, Clinton type stuff, right?
I don't think, obviously he's not going to be tweeting every 5 seconds. We're not going to see that from him. He's not going to be saying outlandish
That sucks.
stuff. So, he's not going to be making fun of people. So, those types of things we're not going to have. I hope he's still, tough on, I hope he's tough on China, because we really need to get serious about China and what they're trying to do. And I don't blame China. China's trying to be the best that they can be, but they do things that are unfair, in terms of, free trade. They're not fair trade, and that affects the American workers and American companies. And human rights. I mean, there's all kinds of things that we need to still, keep the foot on the pedal, and make sure we're producing as much here You know, on a personal level, I hope he extends the tax credit for solar. You know, I'm a big believer in that. And, you know, I hope we move forward a little bit on healthcare. I'm trying to get more people healthcare. But you know, obviously, you know, he's also, the Democrats have lately been kind of they don't mind being interventionists, meaning they don't mind going into other countries and you know, starting wars and starting conflict. And you know, that's my biggest worry with them is getting into wars. You know, because they're so costly and they don't benefit us. You know, they're just throwing away money. And right, yeah, yeah.
Of war and throughout history, you know, I mean, it's become a political tech trick to essentially engage in a conflict that carries you to the next election.
Yeah.
I mean, we've seen 21st century, you know, versions of that with Bush in Afghanistan. You know, it'd be interested if, like, I'm interested to see if Biden's going to restart the drone program. You know, I mean, you know, we did a lot of egregious things, you know, during his tenure as president.
I mean, that is the one thing we can say about Trump, right? Is as far as overseas bloodshed, he was the opposite. Right? Yeah, he wasn't that high on that, right?
Yeah, I mean, he would talk a lot of stupid stuff and do things like he was about to go to war with North Korea and all that.
I was like, I'm gonna go
but,
get you.
And we all, and you know, at the end of the day, we all got scared. Like, man, is this guy dumb enough to do it? But you know, he didn't. So
he walked across the DMZ. You know, like that's historic.
Yeah. So you know,
do you think Biden will continue that relationship? With North Korea?
I hope so. I mean, here's the thing about North Korea. I think we make North Korea more of a boogeyman than we have to.
I agree.
You know, because at the end of the day, you know, we worry about them sending a nuclear bomb over this way, but we have to understand that there is no advantage for them to do that. You know, it's not like you know, so we always have to realize, like, look, North Korea why would they send a nuke over here, even if they could? Like, what are they going to do? They're not going to take us over, you know?
Yeah. Well, it's a Samson option, too. You know, we're part of that. So it's almost like a red herring, I guess, as far as...
What's that? What the
Samson option?
Why do you just throw that out as if, like... we all know what the fuck you're going to talk about. What is that? What does that mean?
Oh, well,
is that like a cell phone?
Well, you know, because we're a part of the UN and, you know, Israel... you know, as an ally, that's one of the treaty accordances is that if anybody shoots a nuke off, everybody's shooting a nuke off.
That's the stupidest fucking...
It's almost counter, you know, that means that's essentially it's what's kept Russia from just, you know...
So that still exists China. Today, that the biggest deterrent for nuclear war is that...
Mutual destruction.
One means all.
Yeah.
Wow.
Because the fallout is not worth.
How silly is that?
Oh man, that's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, why have those then? They obviously that means they're ineffective. Spending money on nuclear bombs is ineffective because we can't ever use them.
Yeah. Well, the question is though, now does it fall into the wrong hands? Because then if it's in some not controlled.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like making any nuclear bombs at all seems counterproductive. Yeah, it seems just like again one of those very stupid things that it's hard to understand why people that are making decisions don't go like, hey, wait a minute, why are we making these if no one can ever use them? Right? Like we can never use them. We're spending money on them forever. And we know, I mean, literally, right? If North Korea shoots nuclear bombs or they ever get to that point where they can get one off the tarmac, right? Say all the countries that have nuclear bombs shot nuclear bombs at the U.S. It's like the equivalent to like getting in like a knockout blow as you've been knocked out, right? Yeah. Like you're knocked out, you're on your way to the canvas, and like your hand hits the other dude, and he gets knocked out too. Like, there's no point. Who cares at that point?
Yeah.
Right. At that point, you're just murdering to murder. Like,
and I mean, how are you going to utilize? I mean, how are you going to utilize that asset now? Right. You're not.
It's over after that.
It's radioactive land that you can't build on, that you can't, start enterprise with. And
well, I think what what it is though, and it's the fear. And what it does is the more that we fear that, somebody does nuke us and vice versa, they fear us nuking them. It keeps up the military industrial complex,
Yeah.
And plus you have to understand from the North Korean perspective is in order for Kim Jong-un to keep his people so in line and so in check is they have to have a serious boogeyman. They have to be like, hey, you have to be willing to sacrifice day in and day out, because if you don't, the U.S. is going to come, they're going to take you, they're going to kill you, just like they did your great grandfather in the Korean War.
Yeah. Because they have used the bomb. Yeah.
Yeah, and we jacked them up in the Korean War.
Right.
We did some not so good things, and they remember that. And so we never talk about the Korean War. Like it's like whatever to us. We don't learn about it too much, but to them, that's taught every single day.
Right.
And we're taught to be the boogeyman, and they have to have that boogeyman, or else the people they're not going to have a reason to be controlled by a dictator.
Yeah.
So, it's not like Kim Jong-un can't come out and say, oh, the U.S. is cool now. We should be a democracy too.
Yeah.
No, like he's not going to, he's got to have a boogeyman no matter what.
Yeah. Let me, Fernando, let me pose this question to you. All right. It's more of like a critical thinking challenge, because we're very meta on this show, right? Scholars, gentlemen.
We got to work that too.
Right. So I posed this question to Mike. I originally had posed it to my mom as a test, and it went horrible. But say Trump, okay, on January 20th, Trump does not, he leaves the White House, right? Still doesn't concede, never says I concede, right? The next day he gets on Twitter and goes, all my followers, let's just have our own country. Like, I will still be your president. I'm going to be your president. We can hire law enforcement. We can hire the states that, basically all the states that voted for me can stand with me. What could we do? Like, what would, and say again, all these people said yes. Right? Politicians, people on the ground. There was an impressive amount of people that had showed up over the weekend for this guy, which was very sobering, right? Like, oh shit, half the country really does want Trump to still be there. What if all those people said, and we're not going to break the law, it's not like we're not trying to go to war, we'll still pay taxes. In fact, don't worry about how we take care of our roads and bridges. Worry about your own shit. We're going to worry about ours. We're going to figure out how to stop funding the states that voted for Biden, and you guys just fund yourselves. What could we do? Like, what would Biden do, right? Because we all know, like, okay, Biden's not going to, we're not going to bomb, Arkansas, right? Like, we're not going to do that. But what could we do? Like, we're really just going to go arrest? Look at all these people. We're going to arrest them all? Like, we're going to put them all in jail as, what, treason? What?
Yeah, no, here's the thing. Here's the funny thing. If they actually did that, for example, states like California and New York,
right?
They fund a lot of the federal government,
Yep.
Whether the South and the Midwest like to admit it. It's our tax dollars that basically pay for a lot of this country.
Yeah.
And so, they could do it, and they'd probably be helping us out. I don't think that's the right thing, but if at the end of the day, we would cut off funding to them.
That's what Mike said. Mike said we would have embargoes probably, or but Fernando.
Well, it's not even embargo. It's just saying, okay, you're not going to get our tax dollars.
Right.
You keep your tax dollars.
But I'm sure Fox News would report it as the embargo against US 2, US 2 or whatever they call themselves. But this is the crazy part, right? Because you were talking about Russia and North Korea and how right now is such a time of turbulence here that they're finding these really great opportunities to weaken our government and our unity. What would stop then Russia from stepping in and going, hey, America number 2, we'll back you guys. Like in fact, we're not trying to take, you guys don't have to be communist or anything. We'll be allies. Just like you are with other countries that are not necessarily democratic, you're still allies with them. Like, what if we just become your ally? And now at that point, we're in a whole nother game, right? Like, because...
Yeah, now we're talking like, I don't see something like that happening. But
okay, thank you.
But I would.
By the way, it was all Mike's idea. Yeah.
Thank you, Mike.
Stupid Mike. I told you that would never happen.
Yeah, I could never see either one of those happening. But
yes,
but it could. I mean, here's the thing:
these guys look pretty hyped.
They do. And what happened was, when the country was first founded. We had 13 colonies, and basically most of the colonies wanted to be individual states, independent.
Yeah.
They really didn't want to be a united nation.
We should have just rolled with that.
That's not what they wanted. But if there's a book, it's called we probably all read. It's called the Federalist Papers, and what it is, what happened was all of those guys like Madison, Hamilton. What they started to do is they secretly started to write newspapers and write articles, basically talking about why a strong central government's important, why we should come together as a nation. And so there's all these articles on it. And now keep in mind, this was over 250 years ago.
Yeah.
And they brought up the fact that because if we are 13 independent colonies, then what's going to happen is you're going to have England and all these France and all these other countries come in and play favorites. So, like, for example, England may pay favorite to Virginia, or play favorite to Rhode Island, and then that's going to cause a division. And what's going to happen is these bigger countries are going to take advantage of the colonies
and just pick it apart.
And just pick it apart.
Right.
And that's why we have to unite. And the same thing with us as a country right now. Why we want to stay united is because it makes us stronger. If we decide, hey, let's just have 4 little United States where it's the Northeast or the Southwest, then absolutely countries like, okay, China's going to be like, okay, we're going to work with this side. Russia will come in, we're going to work with that side.
Yeah, it doesn't even have to be like a war, huh? They could just get us with money.
They'll just pick us apart.
Yeah.
And so that's it's an interesting book because it was written, it's the same issues we're talking about now. Just 250 years ago, of why we want to stick together, why we want to be stronger.
I feel like, to me, one of my biggest worries is that we're such a target right now, from other countries, just because of the division that we have and this turbulence. If you ever wanted to do something right now would be, you got to think that
opportune time.
Yeah, that if a country actually had, but obviously the internet has exposed a lot more of the truth that, again, like I agree with Fernando, like Russia is seen as like a boogeyman, but Russia is not even close to being as strong as we are. Like it would be over very, very quickly. Yeah. But they sell it to us like they almost match us in strength when they really don't. Okay. But again, if there was ever a time, when was the last time the country was this openly divided, right? Yeah. Yeah.
Well, and with COVID, this isn't going to be, even if we get a vaccine, we figure out COVID, this isn't going to be the last time we get some kind of pandemic again.
No.
If I was another country, I'd be like, let's create another one. This is the perfect time.
Just keep hitting them, right?
Yeah, just keep hitting them. This is the perfect time for us to have something like a COVID. If you're attacking us with the disease, this is the perfect time to do it when we're divided,
not working together,
and you can't even get people to wear a mask inside. We're not talking about in your home or in your car. We're just saying, hey, when you go to the grocery store, wear a damn mask.
Dude, are we? And I'm not going to keep you much longer, but are we in trouble? You know what I mean? Like, as Americans, I know there's, honestly, I know there's a lot of hope. Be. Yeah.
Here's the issue that very few people talk about. Yeah. Is, see, right now we're borrowing a lot of money. Our deficit's going up. we can do that because we're the world's currency. Meaning, when you buy things, the dollar is the world's currency. So we can borrow a lot. People will buy our debt, and so we can afford to do that. As we continue to grow our debt and people start to move away from the dollar, especially as what's referred to as the petrodollar, meaning that when you buy oil, it's in dollars, and it used to be in the sterling, which is from England, but then they switched to the dollar. And as we start to lose that and nobody wants to buy our debt, then that's when our deficit's going to be a real big problem, and we're not going to be able to print money the way that we used to.
Whoa.
And so,
wait, Fernando, why would people just, because I mean, I don't know anything about this. Why would people not want to buy our debt? Is it just because they know we're not going to ever pay it back? Or
they devalue our currency.
Yeah. Right. Or they'll start using other people's. So, for example,
like bricks, right? Like that union, because that's essentially lowering the value of the dollar, and because their main currency is the what is it that's in the EU? What's the main?
You're talking about I don't know exactly.
The euro dollar, right?
The euro. Yes.
So the euro, right? I mean, it's pretty close to, but it's always gaining on the dollar, and especially BRICS is kind of hedging that bet that they can have the value in America, and that's just going to devalue our currency and then destabilize the nation.
Damn pirates.
Yeah, and it's not so much the euro that we're worried
not necessarily
about.
the euro, but
yes, absolutely.
I was just using an example.
It could be the yen. I mean, that's really what they're really concerned about, is saying, okay, well, Russia and all these other countries are saying, hey, we're no longer going to trade with each other using dollars. That was one of the things that they've always, there's a big talk about why they always went after Gaddafi, why they went after Saddam Hussein.
Yeah,
is because
we couldn't put federal reserves there, right?
Well, no, because they wanted to take themselves off of the dollar as the petrodollar. They wanted
like
to use
Venezuela.
Gold. Yeah, they actually wanted to use gold, and once they started talking that's when they went after Gaddafi. That's when they went after Saddam, because they knew they didn't want that to happen. So
that's the real value.
Wow,
the hard currency.
That's real
That's
truth
scary,
right now,
man. That's super scary. That
I didn't know that.
That it seems like it's just like teetering, like.
Yeah, and these big companies, the multi-corporations, the super rich, they're not loyal to the United States. They don't care.
Yeah, we've talked about that on this show before, how they could literally make a new U.S. somewhere else. Like, someone else will just get the ball for the next 100 years,
Yeah, they don't care.
South Africa's looking great.
I mean, they're trying that now with Japan, because Japan has like zero immigration, right? Like 5%, and their economy, I guess, has boomed since.
What if China just does a mass recruitment of black people? They'll win, right? Like if China just got all the black people and they were like, you know what, we're going to be more democratic. You guys can live here. We're going to treat you fine. Yeah. They would win. It would be a wrap. They could be the new U.S.
Well, they're not really. Well, they're not doing that. What they're doing is they're just buying up Africa right now.
Right.
So
they're doing
that. They do.
They're exploiting Africa just like everybody else. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So.
Yeah.
And they're doing the same thing here in California.
Yeah, they're buying up everywhere.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Real estate. I mean, they're flexing their value right now.
So that's something we should be looking for, right? We should see, is Biden going to address that, and is he going to be more aggressive about that? Because there's no time for him to just come in and tippy toe for the next 4 years about that, right? Because it's happening now.
The writing's
like they're literally stealing the country right now. Yeah, that's got to stop. I mean, dude, as an artist, I can tell you this. One of the things that concerns me is the conversation around copyright law and free speech online. It always scares me as an artist, because I know I have a tendency to feel, because of things that have happened in the past, like, okay, the censoring of like, even Alex Jones, who is a nut. Mm-hmm. Alex Jones is a nut. but even the censoring of that and almost like the admittal of our inability to make the decision or to look at that and go like, this guy's a nut, I shouldn't be listening to this. Them taking that away from us altogether scares me. That scares me. Like when we see governments putting pressure on like Twitter and Facebook to clean this shit up. But I'm logical. I understand. Hey, we're in a new time. This is a new frontier, right? The internet is still the Wild West.
Yeah.
We're figuring it out. And maybe it can't be as free as we thought it would be.
Mm-hmm.
But I know the moment we stop talking about freedom along with the internet, people start to freak the fuck out.
Yeah.
I'm one of those people.
I have a question for you.
Yes.
What do you think about the article? You think Trump is going to, now in the last days of his presidency, revoke Article 230? You know, things like that with internet providers and being platforms. Because, you know, that's one of the things. But you were saying how the internet's the Wild West. It'll really send the internet back to a time where it was the Wild West.
I kind of feel, though, that Trump, as much as he's a critic of like some of these social media and online providers, he's also a very good student of the internet. Like he understands the internet. I think he understands the idea that like complete censorship will actually work against him. Right? Like he doesn't want that either. In fact, what he would really like is to just be the head of Twitter. And that would be amazing for him. Just as long as and dude, again, there is some argument to the idea if Trump goes, you know, fucking, they stole the election from me, and here's the facts, and they're all bullshit. It's all lies. I understand the danger in that. I just don't know that if I can put up like a picture of a unicorn dog. And that's not going to get censored because it's not real. But you know what I mean? Like, I don't know where we draw the line on that. And I don't trust America as a whole to be mature enough to make that decision yet. I just don't feel like it would be all over the place, dude. You know what I mean?
Dogs aren't real?
Yeah. You know, no, I mean, I just use that as an example, but we all know those are real. But you know what I mean? Like, I'm afraid of that. Like, what do you, as an independent, how do you see that? Like, it's a dangerous thing. You have kids too, right? Like, so they're on the internet. They live on the internet. How do you see it?
I mean, well, you know, I'm with you where we shouldn't, you know, censor people. I mean, I think the only time it should be censored where it's pretty blatant, like if they're talking about, you know, any kind of like sex with children or something crazy like that. But outside of, hey, if I look outside and I say the sky's red and you say it's blue, and you know who's right, you know those kinds of things. You know, you should have freedom of speech. You can say what you want. Yeah, Alex Jones is a nut, but I should have the right to make that. I should have the right to make that decision.
Right.
So yeah, I don't think we should. I'm not a fan of censorship at all. I think most Americans don't want that. I think most Americans realize what is real and what is fake.
Yeah.
You know, it's funny. Have you seen the movie with Mark Maron where he owns a pawn shop?
No.
So he owns a pawn shop, and this lady, she's a comedian, and she inherits a sword. It's an old Union Civil War sword. And her grandfather, who was a racist guy, has this letter and certificate of authentication or whatever, which says that the South won the war.
Yeah.
And she's trying to sell this sword to him, saying, no, this was to prove that the South actually won the Civil War.
Yeah.
And there's a guy that works with him who's all into conspiracy theories. And Mark Maron's like, dude, are you effing crazy? Like, no, like, you want me to believe the story that the South won the war? And then the dude who believes in conspiracy theories is behind him. Like, dude, you should buy that sword. Let me show you what's on the internet. And then he finds this whole group of people who believe that the South really did win the Civil War.
Right.
And then he's like, oh, wow, I could sell this sword for like $50,000.
Yeah.
And it's about this story where he's finding all these people who believe in these crazy stories.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah, I mean, but it's, dude. They were interviewing a bunch of the people out here at this thing, and they were asking. I mean, these people were literally saying no. It was definitely stolen, and they stopped counting votes at midnight. Like they were throwing out just these random non-facts, right? Like just things that were obviously wrong, right? Like. And it's like Trump has almost like armed them with how to argue it as well, right? Like just keep your head on a swivel and keep moving, right? Like if they start attacking one thing, just flip it a little bit, you know, or do the favorite one is, of course that's what you would say because you're on the other side, right? So no matter what I say, if you say it's wrong, of course that's what you would say because you're on the left. Right. And he gave them that thing. And that to me is so terrifying because, I mean, that's idiocracy, bro. Like that is our country just being as dumb as we could possibly be. And like being like babies with our, you know, like headphones the size of Mike Mackey was wearing.
I mean, that's,
you know what I mean? Look at those things. Those things are ridiculously huge.
I was trying to land a plane earlier.
You know what I mean? I know before we even move on, Fernando, can you just look at those? And like that's not okay, right?
This is an actual prop from Doctor Who. I'm one of those.
I don't think so.
Look, they're bigger than my hand.
But I mean, we don't want to look at his headphones.
These are my Star Wars headphones.
My God,
my Princess Leia's.
Yeah, the Princess Leia's. Yeah.
You know when they said put cans on, he took it to heart. But yeah, man, I don't. That scares me. That doesn't scare you. That doesn't. You're not afraid of that.
You know what? We keep talking, and then I can't help but stare at these people at the Trump rallies.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. I mean, it's like they're just a car wreck, and you can't turn away. You know what I mean? Like you just keep looking at them.
I mean, dude, and you look at their faces, right? You look at their faces. These are not deplorable, bad people. Yeah. These are not people. These are not the enemy. They're as much of a victim of the propaganda, the media. The system, there is much of that, right? The cops, they see that they're starting that. It's crazy that whole side has started to see the cops the way everybody else sees the cops now, right? Because they're like, yeah, we don't kind of like them either. But yeah, I don't see that. I mean, dude, and their families, there's kids, these people are not going to wake up tomorrow and go, you know what? That was silly. They're not going to do that.
Yeah. You know, I think one of the big things that's hard too is that we don't realize, like, when, you know, from birth, we're talked about how great, you know, America is and how great we are as Americans. And so you have this, I think you have a group of people who grew up, okay, you know, we have this, we're great, our country's great, you know, all this great stuff. And then they go, well, if I'm great and we're in a great country, how come I'm living so bad?
Yeah.
You know, why? How come I don't have the same kind of financial stability my grandfather did, or my dad did.
Right.
And I'm over here struggling. It you know, whose fault it is, you know, and you see these people who, you know, grew up, you know, saying, oh, you know, you're good, you're great, you're great. It's like kind of being the guy your dad's telling you you're the best quarterback ever, and then you show up to play and you're like, oh shit,
yeah,
there's all these other guys that are really good. I'm not as good as I thought I was.
Right.
And but you don't.
And they feel let down. They feel embarrassed. Feel let down. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's definitely not their fault.
Right.
You know.
Right. It's so sobering for them. Yeah.
Even with infrastructure, you know, like that's another thing. You know, like I can see why they have that ideology. They live in depopulated houses, and you know there's no.
Did you mean dilapidated?
Dilapidated. When I say dilapidated, it's okay. I don't know what. That's my headphones.
Decapitated.
It's got to be those headphones.
And you're, you know, if you're
things weigh 45 pounds. So
a white person living in, you know, I don't know, in the Midwest, and you're in a trailer park, and you're seeing, you know, brown people living good in certain parts of the country.
Right.
You're like, you know, how, you know,
you're at least asking, like, what the fuck happened? Right, like, why am I not living? Like, yeah, exactly. Like, what did I do?
Like, you know, it must be.
I'm a good American.
Like they got punished.
Yeah. You know, I must be smarter. You know.
So I mean, Biden's coming in. He's got this challenge, right? He's got half this country. What is one thing you think he can do to unite, to bring people together? What is he going to have to do?
You know, the one thing I would love for him to do, which he's not going to do, which would bring everybody together, I wish Trump would have done it. Is to
give us money, give us money.
Legalize pot.
Well, not even that. If they would have overturned Citizens United,
There you go.
which that's
100.
the number one thing
100%.
that Democrats and Republicans would get behind.
100%.
So what he needs, I would say, first day, if he was really all about change, is get in there and say, "Hey, Congress, put together a bill. I will."
Wait.
it."
This is Citizens United, you said, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right
Now, Fernando, I understand what that is, but
So that's
Eddie
perfect.
doesn't.
No.
Can you explain it for Eddie? Because I get it. I don't need to know.
So Citizens United was a Supreme Court decision that basically said money that corporations are people too, so that they can, obviously they can't vote, but they can contribute.
Yeah.
And they have very little restrictions in terms of the amount of money that they can give. And the logic behind it is that if we restrict their money, then we're basically restricting their voice. So that's where, that was where the Supreme Court decided, hey, we're going to allow them to basically contribute as much as they want because they should have freedom of speech too.
Wow.
Right? That was the logic of the law.
Wow.
Now, obviously,
That's ridiculous.
they're going to use it towards their advantage, and that's what they've been doing. And so, if he can get behind, and we can overturn a Supreme Court decision, with the 2/3 vote in Congress. So, if Congress pass, has to go through the House, then to the Senate, and then the president has to sign off on it. If Biden comes out and says, "Hey, you guys put this through, I'll sign and approve it," but now what that means is the Democrats aren't going to get the money that they want from these corporations. Neither will the Republicans. So, but the people are down for that. The people want that. So that's one thing that he could do.
Yeah.
Could he issue an executive order to reverse a Supreme Court decision?
No, you can't. No, not for a Supreme Court decision.
Nothing like that.
It's either got to go through Congress. That's number one. That's the most common way. There is another loophole kind of deal where you can do it through the states, where you can get the state governors together to vote it through. That's a very uncommon. Nobody really does that, but you could go that way. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of things that people don't realize that Trump has some legal action that he could take to actually still stay in office.
Yeah, I was about to drop that.
Well, talk about that. Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, so I don't want to bastardize it, but the easiest way, if the guy, I forget his name, I want to say his name, Van Jones from CNN, gave a really good.
Oh, he did a breakdown of it, right?
He did a breakdown of it, and
yes.
And there's some other people talking about it too, and he would, Donald Trump would need some Republican support to do it, but basically he cannot concede. And he could have the Republican governors, for example, pick the delegates. And if he does that and the Republican governors are willing to do that,
yes.
And then in essence, and they vote, then they can vote. They can say, "Oh, I would elect for it," even though you did it.
Wow.
So there's all these crazy things that nobody.
Okay, so wait, what would stop him from doing that then? Like, why? Should we assume that that's what he's probably going to try to do, or?
I think that.
What?
I think because at the end of the day, I think there's a lot of governors. I think there are still good people in this country that will say, "Hey, look, man, you lost the vote."
Well, did you, Fernando? Do you know about so apparently when Nixon was impeached and he was getting during his transition period. They said that he was, ranting and he wanted to bomb some of his enemies and blah, blah, blah. And basically his chief of staff was the person who kind of stepped up and told all the other staff, look, everything needs to go through me. We cannot, someone has to do that. My fear is that in the Trump cabinet, I don't know who the fuck would do that. In fact, I feel like everybody would be like, nah, man, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, let's
I
bomb
was
some
gonna,
shit.
Piggyback on what Fernando was saying.
Yeah.
About the 24th Amendment. So it's very interesting that this is the most terrifying thing, if you ask me. That this is if a lot of people remember politically with the Al Gore Bush situation in 2000, how that went down to a Supreme Court vote.
Yeah.
The lawyers who were working actively for the Bush campaign at the time, 3 of those lawyers are now Supreme Court justices.
Whether or not they were fake ballots or not, and that is the interview that or the explanation.
From Van Jones.
From Van Jones.
It's on CNN. What if U.S. presidential candidate refuses to concede after an election?
Yep.
That's super scary, man.
Do you think Trump? Do you think Trump would want the hassle? Say he accomplishes. He accomplishes it.
Yeah, I think
that he's going to live with the retribution afterwards. He's going to have a target on his back.
I don't think he would think that he would. I don't think Trump ever thinks about retribution against himself because I don't think he thinks that people would ever do that. Which is why they say he's like the reports coming out of the White House are he's very dejected, like he's very mopey.
You look at his demeanor. And
you can see it. Yeah,
he's very demoralized, and it doesn't seem like he's very confident.
And he's not talking to people. So yes, I think Trump has people going through every single piece of our constitutional law that can somehow keep him in the fight. But the thing is, and correct me if I'm wrong, Fernando, part of what's going to determine whether or not he's going to be able to pursue those things is this dude needs to get bankrolled, right? Like there's got to be some concerning parties that are willing to help him fight that fight. Because if not, they could break this dude very easy by just sending him through court. And if it's just him, we all know that he's not as bankrolled as he says he is. In fact, it seems like there's a lot of creditors waiting for him to get out of the White House to come to collect. And so he's going to need those Republican strongholds to go, you know what, that's a fight worth fighting for. And that part is what at least I'm hoping the Republican Party acts like Americans and goes, look, as tempting as that might sound, we can't go. The ridiculousness needs to stop at some point, right? Like it should stop. You guys have kids too. Mm-hmm. Like they have kids. They have they got to go. Like, do we really want to fight for this guy who, by the way, has shown no loyalty to anybody?
Yes.
So you could help him get back in right now, and then he just
die on that hill.
Maybe you're fired.
Career wise.
I don't think they are. But then again, right, Fernando, they might be thinking 2024 is just around the corner. If we don't at least help this guy, we're not even on the conversation if he tries this again.
Because your credibility,
and he could win.
Window
for sure, he could win in 2024. For sure.
And I mean, who on really? This is my thing. Like, why aren't any? Especially with conservatives. Why aren't any conservatives stepping up to the plate and becoming somebody like a media, persona like Trump? Because he uses star power. He's essentially a celebrity.
Right.
People know him from his past, his endeavors. And, Trump Tower and everything, So he's, what was he? Like a B-level celebrity, right?
Yeah.
Or, reality star. So, like...
Well, he'll have to run against Kanye though in 2024.
Well, with somebody
when I feel like with Kanye in 2024 actually sounds tempting.
He'll
be the vice president. Kanye will be vice.
Who can challenge Trump in 2024?
I know one. Mr. Fernando Garcia. Fernando, I know that's why you came on the show. You wanted to announce
pretty much
that you're going to go ahead and take the White House in 2024. Bro, if we could make that happen, there's nothing more that I'd want.
You got my vote.
I feel like the country would be in great hands with you, dude. Thank you.
Twice, appreciate that. A good Democrat.
Thank you for coming through, man. Yeah. Thank you for coming through, dude.
Thank you.
We're definitely going to, obviously, we're hoping that to make you a regular on the show to come through.
Yeah.
Anytime we need some political advice. We were crying until you came on, man, because we were I was buying a musket. I already had bought a musket. I was going to I thought we had to go to war, but it seems like we got more to watch. It seems like what you're saying is we still got a lot more more to watch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it's not over yet.
It's going to be interesting to see what pops up. So we'll see.
And the White House seems like they might have comfortable beds if we have to go over there.
Yeah, that's true, dude.
Yeah.
I definitely want that Lincoln bedroom if you can hook that up. All right, bro. We'll talk to you
Try,
soon.
brother.
Thank you.
All right, brother.
All right, man.
Take care.
That's
All right.
Fernando
Later.
Garcia, man. Yes, sir.
He's got my vote, man.
He's got.
Yeah.
That's a stand-up guy, right?
Yeah,
That's a
lucky to
guy.
have, you know?
Yeah. I
Somebody
mean,
representing
hey,
us like that.
hey, Mike, we're you know, like we're doing this thing. You know,
Yeah, man.
we're out here.
It's a worldwide connection. I mean,
Yeah, we're out.
Changing the world right
We're changing the world. One person at a time, man.
I'm trying to grab at least 3 at a time because, you know.
Yeah, let me.
better.
Man, we went way over. By the
We
way,
did? Oh, yeah, we did.
just another episode that won't end up on Instagram. We're trying to keep this to an hour.
Yeah.
So that we can just put it up on Instagram and you guys can watch it really easy.
Can it get broken down? Like,
Sure, we can, Eddie, but that means that I'd have to do that.
oh,
So we got
okay.
an hour. Then we go to 2 hours and just do two. You know, post one part one.
Yeah,
part two.
yeah, I hear
That's
you.
a long.
I
That's a
hear
long
you.
post right there.
I mean, it's a long post, but
we're almost there though. It's already an hour and a half. So
I'm trying to work it so that we're
be hour two.
we're not doing that as much.
Okay, let's go back to just an hour or less.
Well, I mean, you're the producer. You're supposed to. I mean, that's what you're here for, is
You
to
got
make
the
sure
stop
that.
clock. Yeah,
This
you got
was
the stop clock.
this just seems like the entertainment was going in. I mean, I didn't want to.
You got to be disciplined.
I didn't
though,
want to
Eddie.
hurt the people that were worldwide texting
Eddie,
me.
you got to be disciplined. You got to be like,
Yeah,
you know
okay.
what? I'm fucking out. That's it.
All right.
You know, we'll see you guys next week. We'll try. Like that's what you need to do. You know?
All right, I'm gonna get that button and just turn it all off.
Yeah, I mean, there's no need to hurry now. We're already over.
You got a
so
kill switch?
Yeah, I
Like
got the kill switch.
That's what you need to do. You need to have like a little timer start in the corner when it's about to time out.
Yeah.
Like, you know, we'll have to wrap it up. I didn't even get to, dude. I wanted to talk about the Black Godfather,
Yeah.
a movie on Netflix, which is fucking amazing. It's about
Maybe
hold
I'll
on,
go
I'm gonna
home
look
and-
it up.
maybe
Let
I'll
me
go
bring it
home and
up.
See that.
I gotta let people know at least because it's so good. So good. It's a documentary about
Not James Brown.
no, not James Brown. Oh, here we go. Yes.
All right.
Clarence Avond. So Clarence Avond, you can watch it on Netflix right now, by the way. Dude, this guy is a guy, obviously you guys have never heard of him. But when you find out like who this guy is connected to and who he basically gave careers to, you wonder how you could not have known this. Like it was mind blowing to me. Like, dude, the first person in the video, in the documentary, talking about how he basically hooked him up is President Obama. Right away, right off the bat, it's him. And then it just goes through Quincy Jones, Babyface, Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, Ludacris, Denzel Washington, the Clintons, the Kennedys, like all these different people. And the thing is like he doesn't actually have a title. Like he doesn't work for a company, works for himself. And there's this famous story, right? You remember the movie E.T.?
Yes.
Okay, so the movie in the 80s, E.T., one of the biggest movies of all time. Steven Spielberg directs. Clarence Avond decides to put together an accompanying soundtrack for E.T., if people remember, which was all Michael. It was a Michael Jackson album,
Yup.
basically. And he like narrates parts of the record was amazing. I had it, by the way. Do you know that?
Mm-hmm.
Dude, I literally had that. We'd be rich right now.
Did you get robbed?
No, I probably threw it away. It was like a toy. I didn't fucking know.
Yeah.
I didn't know that was going to happen. But, and so the problem with that is that Sony was putting out the movie. Michael Jackson worked for CBS. Those things you can't just come over and do a record with another company. Large amounts of money
$1 million assets.
Yeah, they would need to, change hands. And so Clarence, there's this famous story that when CBS, Sony sat down to have this discussion, one of the guys leans over to one of the lawyers and goes, okay, I know those people are here for Sony. Those people are here for CBS. Those people are here for Michael Jackson. And those people are here for Steven Spielberg. Who's Clarence Avond there for? Because he was sitting in the middle of the table, right? Like in the middle seat at the head of the table.
Yeah.
And one of the lawyers said, "Oh, Clarence is here for everybody." And they said he was like a negotiator, a fixer, somebody that you could trust. His whole thing was that you could trust him.
Like a mediator.
Right.
Right.
But his reputation was that he was 100% trustworthy. And what the documentary shows is that in the entertainment business, the reality is that it's so rare that it's actually worth a lot of money to be that guy in the room that everyone can trust, that knows that he's not going to fuck you over. He's going to try to do the best thing for all parties. Right? No matter what, any cannot be bought. He can't be nothing. That people throw money at him, all this stuff. I'm telling you, politicians, he doesn't, he's very kind of rough around the edges as well. He cusses. He's like, came up in the streets doing promoting and somehow just worked his way to the top of the game to where he has a star on Hollywood Boulevard.
Is it near ours?
Ours is not there yet, Eddie.
Oh,
and I would think that would be. It's weird that you're asking because it would seem like that would be your responsibility to get that done. So I guess we're not going to have that. Anyways, go ahead and check out The Black Godfather. I wanted to talk to you guys more about it because I thought it was like an interesting thing. But we're going to have Parker Edison on soon, so maybe we'll talk to him about that. I think that'd be cool.
yes,
Yeah.
that would
He'll
be
dig
awesome.
that. Yeah,
Like a
anything.
mediator, huh? Like just somebody to negotiate.
He just-
but those are big conglomerates. Michael Jackson, especially at CBS.
Yeah, dude, and he was independent.
Sony.
And dude, I'm telling you, like the people that
Interesting.
speak for him in the film,
Yeah.
just to get those people to all together to talk about him was a feat in itself. So, and it was just because he made the call to these people to help make the film. But I'm telling you, like even Obama's like, yeah, this guy made a call. Like he made a call for me. Like I was just a young congressman I wasn't in the game. And he's like, he made a call that made me get on TV for the first time. He delivered that speech. Remember we're the United States,
Wow.
right? Not and it took off.
That's when he started.
And how many times Jim Brown, remember
The football player.
the football player, and then later actor.
He was an activist.
Huge, activist celebrity. But he was like, Jim Brown is a record holder.
Mhm.
He needs to be making record holder money. He didn't know Jim Brown, had no connections to Jim Brown. His whole thing was just like, I see that's not right. That has to get fixed. Because his thing is like the bigger picture is that this will affect more people if we don't fix these little things. So he's like, no, Jim Brown, like we're going to put you in movies. Like they wanted to make a documentary about Jim Brown's journey, and he didn't want to be in the documentary. So they called Clarence and said, "Can you go down there and talk to him, and talk him into being into this documentary about the Cleveland Browns?" And he said, "Yeah. What we'll do is we'll put him in movies, and that'll be our trade with him." And then he makes this Jim Brown character basically. And I mean, he does this with countless people. Dude, I'm talking
That's
about
fascinating.
Oprah, fucking.
I mean, because you have to also think of like the lawyers, right? Like this
Right.
guy has enough pool where he has the respect of the lawyers. That's right,
without his own lawyer present.
Yeah, like the
It's
legal
just him.
definition is obviously right because he can't break the law, and stuff,
Right.
obviously. But like the lawyers could simply just be like, "Hey, look, we're the lawyers. We the ones who negotiate this," and it becomes this combative kind of negotiating.
Yep.
tactic.
So who picked
He's
him?
somebody that just
Who picked him?
Yeah, or
who does he
Like
represent?
in that situation?
Who does he represent?
Everybody.
Everybody.
He's
Like,
there. He represents everybody. He's the guy that they all agree. If he's in the room, no one can get over on anybody.
Yeah, that's just very.
And he's going to call us out if.
Oh yeah, you're getting
if something
screwed,
happens,
you're
right,
being unfair to this corporate, you know.
And yeah, they're
it's not
saying
an ethical move or whatever.
dude, like Snoop Dogg, all these people call him with like their contracts. Like that's a big thing he does now. He says he takes a lot of calls just for people to look at his contract. And his whole thing is, especially with minority entertainers and athletes, he needs them to be paid comparable to their white counterparts.
Yeah,
and he knows those numbers. And he's like, the fact that he knows those numbers makes him a powerful person in the room because no one can bullshit him. He's literally like, no, what, you want to pay Ludacris this much for, you know, a Pepsi deal? I happen to know that this white star gets paid this much. Yeah. And Ludacris has more time in front of the camera. Mm-hmm. He should be getting paid more. Like, he just knows these things. And they're like, dude, he has this ability to, even with the most untrustworthy people, to get those people to trust him.
So he even worked with, like, you know, criminal elements. And stuff
I mean, there's the reason they call him the Black Godfather is because he started in promotions, in concert promotions, and in those days, that was kind of run by the mob.
Yeah.
He called them businessmen. It's very funny. Quincy Jones is like his best friend, right? And you can see this dude is very subdued, doesn't like the camera, gets very nervous while he's talking. But apparently behind closed doors, he's just a fucking savage. And again, they're like, dude, he was doing this without a gun or a knife or, you know, a shitload of money. It was literally just like, you're going to do what was right. Yeah. I'm going to logically explain to you why you should be doing that and how that could set you up for the rest of your life. Yeah. Just making the right decision is a great investment to make. Interesting. Yeah, but
like somebody being so persuasive too,
persuasive
that they can just almost, you know. But I mean, is he? I mean, he's completely uncompromised, right? I mean,
completely uncompromised, and now his kids are kind of like being recruited into like politics and stuff. Like when he ran Obama, he had to have the conversation with Bill Clinton because Bill Clinton has become like a really good friend of his. Mm-hmm. Again, a guy that people call to make phone calls. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, what a weird... They said, like, he's one of the only guys... Like, there can never be another him in that he made a living off of friendships and relationships. Yeah. They said that there was even a point where he hit, like, a low point financially, and in 4 phone calls, he was right back in the game. Because people were like, you can't fall off. Yeah. Like, if you fall off, we don't have you. Right. So just to have you around, there's people that are willing to just give him money to make sure that he's constantly around.
So that's pretty sick.
That's sick.
Because I mean, especially like think of his clients, right?
Oh my gosh.
He's negotiating Ludacris deal or whatever, right? Yeah. I mean, somebody's going to kick him. Oh, right. Those are multi-million-dollar contracts.
Oh, dude. Yeah. Right? So he won't talk about his money. He's very old school about that. Yeah. But they are talking about like the amount of copyrights that he's owned and continues to own.
Oh, that's
paid. I mean, dude, he signed.
Check every day.
Who's the dude who's saying "Ain't No Sunshine When It's On"? The original singer. Anyways, that's one of his. Yes, Bill Withers. Okay. He plucked Bill Withers out of obscurity. Bill Withers was working as a construction guy or some shit. Was not a star-looking guy, but he saw something in him and was like, "Yo, I can do something with this." And he picked the singles, actually, all the singles that Bill Withers put out for a long time. There's a whole, I don't want to spoil it for you, but there's a whole section on Bill Withers. Because it shows how this dude has been picking winners from jump. Yeah. And like what it kind of starts to goes into is like, is he really picking winners or is he making them? Like, has he found this way to like present something to people who can make things happen? Mm-hmm. And like he's an expert at that, right? He's an expert at making people who have a lot of money see why this thing is worth taking. Dude, he got who was it? Hank Aaron. Okay, Hank Aaron was about to break Babe Ruth's home run record. He said he called up Hank Aaron. He's like, I don't know you, but I'm willing to help you. And he's like, what kind of motherfucker wants to break Ruth's fucking record? And he's like, are you crazy? And he's like, yeah. Hank Aaron told him, yeah, I guess I am a little crazy. And he's like, I like that. I'm going to help you.
Yeah.
And he's like, you're about to break the biggest record in baseball. You should be rich.
Yeah.
That's just the truth. You should be rich. The fact that you're waiting for brands to come to you and all this stuff, you're fucking up and you're going to get forgotten.
Yeah.
And he's like, so he walked into Coca-Cola and he said, the quote was, a lot of N-words drink Coke. He walked right into the CEO and told him, hey, a lot of N-words drink Coke. And Hank Aaron got the biggest Coke contract that Coke had ever done. And he was just like, yo, he just had this way of putting it to people like, yo, you're fucking up. Like, I'm helping you not fuck up anymore.
It's interesting.
And he bought both those sides that were fucking up.
Yeah.
And made Hank Aaron rich to the I'm telling you, like, these people, most of these people were thanking him for like their lives.
Do you think he'll
like
come
their
over?
life, like and when you see who they were and who they are, you're like, what the fuck? How could you not have known that this guy made this guy your favorite artist? But he did.
Eddie, do you think we can get his number?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm gonna get him to come over.
Yeah,
man.
if we need to call him at some point.
Message Platform Collection.
I mean,
Yeah,
Be
man.
nice.
we could roll like a joint.
He's still alive, right?
He's still alive. Yeah,
Oh, that's great, man. I'm glad he's still healthy and
he
everything.
just
so
got
should,
his
give us a call,
he just got his star on the. I want to go check it out. But yeah, he has become my my official spiritual mentor in my mind. Like I've watched the movie twice since I've seen
animal.
it.
Yeah.
Because I'm just like, yeah, I get the power of conversation and trust and the ability to connect with people and how, because a lot of what Platform Collection has done has not been in a monetary way. It's been in a relationship way.
Yeah.
And so we're really big on that. So when I found like the Michael Jordan of that, I was like, yo, it made it even more real for me. Like, this is a real thing you can pursue. You can pursue to be that guy in the room.
Genuine and
yeah, that guy is the trusted guy. That's the guy that will not steal from you no matter what.
Right.
The $1 million is on the floor. No one's around. No one can see. No one knew it fell.
Yeah.
And he's still not going to do it. That saves you, if you're a major company, it saves you millions of dollars from where the other people would have stolen that shit from you. So it is worth keeping someone like that around. So yeah,
loyalty. It's very hard to come by these days.
How does someone like that, who follows him or who takes over that?
Nobody. They asked Diddy like, what, how's it going to be when he's not here? And Diddy was just like, I'm not even going to. I don't even want to. I'm not going to answer that question because he's like, that's so crazy to me to think what that's going to be like when he's not. He's like, they're like, you don't understand the amount of stuff that he holds together. Yeah. Like,
and I've seen people try to emulate his style.
Yeah,
they don't have his political, or just even his general, influence.
Yeah, I think it's just that cloth that he's cut from, in that honor is still something to him. Loyalty is like a big deal to him, and he has an ability to talk to like stone cold business killers and get them to have empathy, get them to like understand, like, you know what, this is why you shouldn't fuck this dude over, and this is why it's going to make you better. And a lot of those people, if anything, they're very bottom line people. Yeah. And to them, they'll be like, okay. Not because it's the best thing to do, like morally, just because it's number. And his whole thing is, it's not love. Yeah. And he's like, love is a great thing. Love is a thing you should have. He's like, but this is numbers. He's like, the whole world is numbers. He's like, even if, and I started to think about that, right? Because my knee-jerk reaction was like, no, like, I don't like the way that sounds, right? But then I was just like, yeah, well, no, wait a minute, it is all about numbers. Think about the time you were in love with, like the first time you fell in love with your wife, right? It had to add up to a certain point before you were able to put things into motion. Right, your bravery had to add up. All these, whatever had to add up. It is about numbers. There is no argument to that. And he's like, he's like, you can call it whatever you want, but it is about numbers.
I mean, 36, 24, 36.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Wow.
But yeah,
About
so
numbers.
guys, check it out, The Black Godfather. And no, they don't. Netflix isn't paying us at all for that.
Did he? I'm interested to know if he encountered any resistance, because I imagine like
Racism.
Well, maybe not so much racism, but like opposing forces. Like, if he's so strong-willed, and people assume you do. If you have a conversation with him, you're expected to go this route.
Yes.
Kind of honor his decision.
Yes.
But what if he ran into people who were,
there's some stories. Definitely watch it. There's some stories.
Yeah, I want to watch this.
There's some stories about that. I don't want to ruin that, but yeah, there's definitely some stories about what he did, like when adversity happened.
How did he handle it?
And he said, one of the things is like he cut his teeth in a time when the record business was this, and this was not an uncommon thing for someone to get hung out of a window by their ankles. Like that was a normal. Again, mostly the mob was running the record business. So when you wanted to renegotiate your contract,
you get hung out of a window.
Yeah, you probably just didn't want to renegotiate. You just took whatever they gave you. You know what I mean? And he cut his teeth during that time. So they said a lot of the times is what he was a peacekeeper as well. So again, where maybe like a hothead promoter would be like, fuck this artist. He'd be like, wait, why fuck this artist? Like, we can make money off this artist for 20 years if we just have a good relationship. Yeah. He kind of like was able to communicate those kind of things in a time when people weren't doing that. Yeah. And if you wanted to be in the music business and you weren't an artist, you were mostly a hustler. Yeah. Right? Like you were trying to sell a dream on both sides. Mm-hmm. He kind of brought in like the reality base to it. Like we don't really have to like lie, like this shit. And the romantic part of the whole movie is that he just loves music and art. Like he knows it. He really does know it. Yeah. Like he can smell like, oh, this person is built for it. And that he talks a lot about that, like about people being built, not like the talent thing. He's like, that's a dime a dozen. Yeah. And he's like, I can tell when somebody like, oh, that person they're just tough enough to be able to make it in this industry. Everything else, I can just make a phone call for. Because I've already set up those relationships. So if this guy, I can make him, if he's an okay singer, I can make him a better singer if I just make a call. So fuck whether or not he can sing. Is he tough? Is he a guy who will steal?
Bobby Brown, man.
Yeah, just pick up the call and fill in the blanks. It's crazy, dude. It was amazing. Again, as someone who's been in the music industry for as long as I have as well, like I was frustrated that I didn't know who this dude was. Yeah. But I had heard his name in Jay-Z raps before. Yeah. And I thought it was like a gangster, but it wasn't necessarily. He's not a gangster. Yeah. Like he literally is a legit businessman.
He's attained such a level where he's almost isolated from any having to act on.
Oh, yeah. There's no.
Because now his relationships, right? Like I was just saying, I wonder if he had adversity. Now his affiliations will handle that adversity. Right. So he doesn't even have to lift a finger.
Right. I think Diddy said something about like if somebody says anything bad about him at all, like they could literally clear a room. Like people would be like, oh shit, I don't even want to be near you if you said some shit about
Oh, wow.
Because he's holding all these relationships together. Him
fascinating.
Not even complaining about you, him just being irritated by you and then sharing that he's irritated could be enough to cancel your career.
Yeah.
Right? For people to be like, I'm not fucking with that guy.
I get it.
I'm not giving
that
up
makes sense,
my direct connect to fuck that,
Yeah.
I mean, when you pick that many winners, like there's something to be said about that. Like when there's that many successes that just keep coming, like like he said, like if a good artist will want to meet him and a great artist will want to just listen to him and not say shit. Yeah. Like, because he's that level of experience. Oh, and like the cool thing about him that I really, really liked about him that like, I was like, yo, this dude is dope is, he was such an out of the box thinker in that like his first label, he got a label in a time when like soul and funk was coming out and he signed nothing but white people. And he's like, mostly just to throw off everybody else to be like, man, fuck, like, I bet you didn't think I could do this. And I picked all winners. All of them were all like, when you hear the records, bro, dude, he saved Soul Train. There's a whole story about how Soul Train would not even, he had to stand up against American Bandstand to allow Soul Train to continue to live. And he's like, it was one phone call with
that was Casey Kasem, right?
No, Dick Clark.
Dick Clark.
Yeah, it was one call with Dick Clark. And if you know about Dick Clark, Dick Clark was powerful. Right.
Oh,
he was a star maker.
Mm-hmm.
Right. You got one performance on there. You were the man.
And American Bandstand was the biggest.
Yeah.
And
so Soul Train, right, during this time of racial turbulence and all this stuff, he got them on like prime time. Saved the whole show. Because what was going to happen was there was going to be a competing show by Dick Clark that was soul oriented. They even had a
dance party, right?
Yeah, some shit like that, right?
Okay, that's what I was thinking.
And so the reason that got canceled was because he called it up and was like, that has to be put to an end.
Wow.
One, you're not going to control what we bring through our culture. Like, we're going to control that.
Wow.
And if you want to, if he's like, because what Dick Clark, the reason he had to concede to him is because this guy could make a phone call to the agents of these artists or to the artists themselves and be like, yo, don't play over there. And it would be over for Dick Clark.
Oh, I get it.
Yeah. And so that was it. No muscle, no thing. Yeah. And they said most of the time his opponents would just simply like nod their hat to him, like, well played. Like, yeah, that was good. I would have done the same thing.
And look at the cultural impact that Soul Train had.
What a show.
I mean, that was, it defined a whole generation.
Yeah, and it's crazy when he
translated from American Bandstand.
When they talked to him about like marching and all that stuff, because he was just like, motherfucker, I'm not a marcher. And he's like, I don't believe in that shit. He's like, I believe in like making real change. Yeah. And like he said that even that, they're like, yo, he has like this tough outside. But even that, like he found like Obama. He was like, I'm not going to march, but I'm going to put the first black president in. But don't go call me for marching because that shit's stupid. Like that's how he thought. Like he was like, I'm a numbers guy. Yeah, I did the numbers. That's not going to work. Yeah, this is going to work. And so I don't want to even hear about anything. But yes, watch it. Oh yeah, man. So
Black Godfather now on Netflix.
I'm gonna go watch it right now.
Yeah, it's so inspiring, so great. I just wanted to share it with you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in.
Yes, thank you. What a show.
Yeah, I'm loving these podcast versions of this show. I'm so glad we did this. Next week though, let's. We gotta get
49.9 minutes.
Mackie, we need to get into some UFO stuff. There's a lot of UFO stuff happening.
Yeah, we'll save that for next week because there's been some big UFO news lately. And
yeah, we got to get into
coinciding with the election and with everything that's going on, all this tribulation.
Yeah, maybe we reach out to Danny Silva.
Yeah,
interesting times right now.
I talked to him the other day.
So continue. By the way, guys, we're gonna stack up the first 5 episodes of this new version of Chrissy's the Internet, and then we're uploading them all onto Spotify. So they're finally going to be in audio form, but we're waiting to get the first 5 to get them up there all together. And then if you are listening to this at that time from the future, whoa, you're in the future right now.
They are. Yeah.
I'm not there with you, by the way. I'm in the past.
Did you feel that?
I'm talking to you. Whoa, my brain is. Anyways. If you're listening to this anywhere podcasts are found, go over to PlatformCollection.com. You can see this, or go to YouTube, Platform Collection. We'll be there waiting for you. Mm-hmm. Also, Kill C-Ray on Twitch. Go there. It's Mike Mackey on Instagram. Everywhere, really. It's Mike Mackey.
All over the world.
OG Hip Hop Eddie.
All over the world.
The extraordinaire, who's going to try to work on getting us a star, right? On the... Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, man. I will.
Some like to refer to as the Brown Godfather.
The Brown... Wow. Wow. Kind of like the caramel. The caramel. Okay, well, we'll see you guys next time. That's the Internet, and we see it.